You know that feeling, right? That sort of
Yeah.
pang of guilt when you close the door, leaving your dog behind. And you just imagine the barking, maybe the chewing, that whole cycle.
Oh, absolutely. It's heartbreaking. And traditional training often feels like it's just missing something deep.
Exactly. It scratches the surface maybe, but doesn't get to the root.
Right. And that's what we're really digging into today, an approach that looks way beyond just stopping the barking or the destruction.
Yeah, this deep dive is all about a different way to understand and really to heal canine separation anxiety. It taps into this much deeper emotional connection, between us and our dogs.
It's a language that speaks to both sides of that bond. And our guide today is the incredible work of Lori J. Harris. She's the founder of Coaching Canine Companions.
Ah, yes. Her work is amazing. We're drawing from her books. Things like The Door is Not the Danger, Invisible Leash, and that really practical workbook she did on healing canine separation anxiety.
Exactly. Powerful stuff.
So our mission for you listening is to really shift how you think about this. We want to unpack why our dogs are genuinely suffering when we leave. And this is key, how our own nervous systems are part of the picture.
Right. It's not just about the dog in isolation.
Not at all. And then we'll get into some really practical but also quite soulful rituals, things you can actually do to build trust and turn those moments of leaving into something more like devotion.
You should walk away with some real aha moments, hopefully, and a totally fresh perspective.
Okay, let's jump in. This core idea from Lori J. Harris, that it's a heartbreak story, not just bad behavior. What does that really mean?
Well, it means the door itself isn't the scary thing. It's what the door has come to represent, like a symbol of uncertainty, maybe echoes of past losses, or just the feeling that your return isn't guaranteed. It's deep emotional stuff.
A heartbreak story. Wow. That really changes the frame, doesn't it? Especially if you've only thought of it as, needing more obedience training.
It absolutely does. Because we're talking about their emotional wiring, she gives this really striking example with her own puppy, Maui. Picture this tiny 10-week-old pup screaming, like primal terror, just because Lori turned her back for a moment to get tea.
10 weeks old, so not from bad past experiences.
Exactly. That's the point. It wasn't learned trauma. Harris calls it inherited panic. Apparently, some breeds have this genetic predisposition where the amygdala, the fear center in the brain, fires off based on a predicted pattern of pain, not necessarily a real memory.
So the barking isn't manipulation. It's like their biography spilling out.
Beautifully put. It's their inner world revealed, which, makes trying to just sneak out seem, pretty unhelpful, right?
Yeah, totally counterproductive. If it's about trust and prediction, sneaking out teaches them you can't be trusted. That departure is a trick.
Exactly. They learn to be hypervigilant, always watching for those subtle signs you might vanish.
So the new approach flips that.
Right. You turn leaving into the training, you ritualize it, make it safe enough to practice, starting super small, like second small if needed.
Okay. And the return. You said it needs to be a non-event, not a big party.
Crucial. A calm, quiet confirmation. See? You were safe the whole time. That lets their nervous system actually register the calm, build a memory of it.
You were safe the whole time. I like that. But, okay, the anxiety often starts way before the door, right? This idea of the vanishing human.
Yes. This is fascinating. Harris says dogs don't really track time like we do. They measure absence by this thread of connection.
The thread.
Yeah, like an energetic or emotional thread. When that feels like it snaps, that's when they unravel. It's not about the minutes ticking by.
So they're wired for relational orientation. They track us, not the clock.
Precisely. Especially if they have an insecure attachment history. Or maybe they're just prone to that hyperattachment. Their brain is scanning for you, for cues about your presence or absence.
Which leads to a really important point you mentioned if you're gone too long, past their threshold.
Your return can actually make it worse. It can feel traumatic and just solidify the panic instead of building their tolerance. The goal is to create this memory of return through predictability. Short, successful, calm returns.
Okay, so that's where her return as rhythm protocol comes in. How does that work practically?
It's about making every single coming and going predictable. First, you figure out their threshold. How long can they actually stay calm? Maybe it's only 30 seconds.
Right. Start where they are.
Exactly. Then you practice leaving for less than that time, staying within their calm zone, return really quietly, no fuss, repeat it, build up tiny successes.
So you have to cancel those big, long departures for a while, the heroic departures.
Yeah, you really do, until their nervous system has had a chance to heal and build those new, safe associations. It takes patience.
And this ties into how we see thresholds too, right? Not just the door, but the space leading up to it, like a grief zone.
Mm-hmm. A transitional zone where safety gets reevaluated. And for these dogs, yeah, it can become a place where their body just remembers being left, like Maui refusing to go down that hallway.
Yeah, that story was powerful. The trauma lived in the approach to leaving.
And it goes even deeper into what Harris calls invisible cues. The anxiety often kicks in way, way sooner than we realize.
The keys jingling, putting on a certain pair of shoes.
Perfume, makeup, the sound of your footsteps changing pace. They are like sensory symphonists reading this whole chain of tiny signals that predict you're leaving. And that triggers the grief before you even go.
That explains things like blocking the door or sudden accidents. It's preemptive.
Exactly. They're already feeling the separation.
So the goodbye ritual remix that tackles these triggers head on. How do you remix a ritual?
Well, first you figure out what those triggers are. Make a list. Keys, coat, bag, shoes. Then, the remix part, you do the trigger action, but you don't leave.
Break the link.
Right. Pick up your keys, then sit down and raid. Put on your shoes, walk around, take them off. It drains the cue of its predictive power. Then you introduce a new, totally safe cue.
A safe cue.
Yeah, something specific, maybe a soft chime, a certain phrase that only ever happens right before a planned, calm, short practice departure. It becomes a signal of safety, not abandonment.
This is fascinating because it puts so much focus back on us. Our state.
Yeah.
Your breath is the blanket. That's a powerful image.
It really is, because dogs don't just see our mood, they literally feel it. Our breath pattern is a huge signal to their nervous system.
So this connects to polyvagal theory, neuroception.
Exactly. Neuroception is that subconscious scanning for safety or threat that
I'm
all mammals do. Your calm, slow, rhythmic breath, that acts like a biological signal of safety for your dog. A ventral vagal anchor, technically. It shows their nervous system what calm feels like.
You become their biological blanket.
Yeah.
Wow. Lori saw this directly with Maui, right? He only settled when her breath calmed down.
Her calm was literally the medicine he needed in that moment.
So the breath as anchor ritual, it's not just a sweet idea, it's actual neurobiology at work.
Totally. You sit nearby, consciously deepen your breath, maybe in for 4, out for 6, make it audible, and maybe whisper something like, "We breathe together."
Right.
You're actively co-regulating.
Okay, so our breath matters. What about everyday objects? Leashes, routines? They can become triggers too.
Oh, absolutely. They become threshold markers or internal alarms. Predictability is everything for building trust. Think about Maui knowing the difference between yoga pants and jeans.
Right, that's incredible. Because one meant staying home, the other meant leaving.
Exactly. Tiny cues carry huge weight. So the fix isn't avoiding jeans. It's about, as Harris puts it, resacralizing the sequence, recoding those patterns so they signal calm, not alarm.
And that's the familiarity spell. How does that work?
Similar to the ritual remix, you take those charged cues, putting on makeup maybe, and you do them without leaving. Just make them normal, non-eventful parts of being home.
Drain the fear out of them.
Yeah. And then you actively enchant neutral things, maybe a specific grooming brush you only use when you're staying in, or a calming scent diffuser you turn on. You build new positive signals for all as well.
Okay, let's talk about the actual rewiring. Desensitization. Harris reframes this completely, doesn't she? It's not just about leaving for longer periods.
No, it's much deeper. She calls it deepening presence across absence, even an act of soul retrieval.
Soul retrieval, what does she mean by that?
It's about helping the dog reclaim their innate sense of peace and security, which gets fragmented by the anxiety. It's about them truly feeling connected and safe, even when you're gone, because they trust implicitly that you will return calmly.
Based on those tiny, successful practices.
Exactly. Like Maui's first sessions, just 6 seconds, repeated maybe 12 times a day, returning like a whisper. That, she says, stitched a stitch into the wound, slowly mending the fear.
That's beautiful. Stitch to stitch into the wound. Yeah. And the desensitization as devotion protocol. It sounds like it needs real commitment.
It does. Choosing a safe space, like a crate, but making it a sanctuary, not a punishment. Starting below their panic level, adding time, like drops of light, making returns super undramatic. It is devotion.
And the way we actually leave matters hugely. The 5-layer goodbye. This is about creating predictive safety loops.
Precisely. Turning the departure itself into a calm, reassuring ritual, layer by layer.
Okay, walk us through the layers.
Sure. Layer 1, a pre-departure signal. Something gentle, maybe a chime or a soft phrase like, "P.A. back soon," just to signal the ritual starting.
Okay.
Layer 2, A body ritual, that co-regulating breath, maybe some slow, calming strokes, connecting physically.
Got it.
Layer 3, the separation cue. Picking up the keys, touching the doorknob, but remember, practice this without leaving sometimes too, to neutralize it.
Right. Decoupling the cue from the outcome.
Exactly. Layer 4, the actual exit. Slow, calm, maybe a little pause at the door, sending a final calm breath their way. No rushing.
And the fifth layer.
The invisible thread. Leaving something with your scent, maybe a soft piece of music playing quietly. Something that maintains that sensory connection.
That's really thoughtful, and it connects to the idea of the presence crate, right?
Yeah.
Transforming the crate experience.
It's not about shutting them away. It's about helping their nervous system learn to rest and feel safe in a contained space. Maui hated the crate at first.
Screamed, you said.
Yeah, but through proximity, having the crate near her, sharing her calm state, opening and closing the door really gently, like a whisper, it became a safe portal for him.
So it's about being present with them in the crate experience initially.
Yes. Proximity, not placement. Start with the crate near you. Enter with the nervous system. Bring your calm to the crate. Door as dialogue. Slow, gentle, open and closing. Practice being in the room while they're calmly craving.
And it's not a quick fix. Lifelong frequency, like Maui's monthly naps.
Yeah, it becomes maintenance. A continued practice of reinforcing that safety and calm. It's ongoing devotion.
You know, what strikes me is how much this journey is also about our healing. The dog who waits by the door. That image is so powerful.
It really is.
Wow.
That archetype of loyalty, of presence under pressure. Harris points out it often mirrors our own deep longings to be waited for, to know someone will return. When Maui shifted from screaming to waiting quietly, it wasn't just training success, it was a spiritual shift.
So witness the wait. Just pausing when you return and acknowledging their loyalty.
Silently honoring that trust. And this can stir things in us too. That's the dreams with paw prints idea, how a dog's anxiety can trigger our own old wounds around abandonment.
The dog as a mirror. How does that work?
It's quite profound. Harris shared a dream about Maui as that scared puppy, and it connected directly to her own childhood feelings. It led her to practices like sitting with him, breathing together, whispering songs, co-dreaming, she called it.
So the dog's healing journey invites our own.
Absolutely. It asks us, what part of us is still waiting anxiously by some internal door? She suggests journaling right from your dog's fearful perspective, then answer from your own inner child's perspective.
Wow. And read it to the dog.
Yeah. It sounds unusual, maybe, but it's about deep empathy, shared vulnerability, connecting on that really core level.
That leads perfectly into the invisible leash. Presence isn't just being physically there, it's resonance.
Exactly. Dogs are incredibly attuned to our biosignals through neuroception, those mirror neurons that help with empathy, maybe even our electromagnetic fields. They feel us.
Like Maui, knowing Lori was coming home before she was physically close.
Picking up on her shift in thought or emotion, it suggests this energetic connection holds even when you're apart. The invisible leash.
So how do we actively train that leash, strengthen it?
Through intention. Before you leave, practice presence. Hand on your heart, match your breath to theirs for a moment, visualize them safe and calm. While you're away, do little check-ins. Picture them, send a calm breath their way, mentally reaffirm the connection.
And the return.
Return without fracture, softly, calmly, maintaining that feeling of unbroken connection. It teaches their system again and again that the bond holds.
So it really boils down to this. The way you leave is the way you love.
It truly does. Every time we leave, we're writing an emotional script in their brain. Leaving with calm, with intention, encodes trust.
We can rewrite the story from anxiety to love that endures separation, shaped by that poetry of pacing and rhythm of breath.
It's about making absence a testament to the bond, not a threat to it.
And that goodbye blessing practice seems like the perfect embodiment.
It is. Just pausing before you close the door, offering a consistent, heartfelt phrase, the thread holds, you are safe, I will return, and really feeling your love staying with them. It turns leaving into a small, sacred ritual.
This has been such an eye-opening dive, moving from trying to fix a behavior to actually deepening a relationship. It really highlights how our own ability to stay present, stay calm, stay connected. That's the real medicine.
It really is. It was never just about the dog's problem. It was maybe an invitation for us to slow down, to listen differently, to breathe more consciously, and just be more present in the spaces between. That's devotion.
So a final thought for everyone listening. What if every time you walked out the door, From now on, it felt like a conscious act of love. A quiet promise your dog learns by heart, proving that invisible thread between you is strong, always shining, even when stretched.
And maybe also consider, what part of you still waits by a door? What healing might this journey with your dog unlock for you both, creating a whole new story of presence together?